It's Astrology Roast. I think it needs to sound like a shitty intro, like a funny shitty intro.
Hi everyone and welcome back to a very, very special limited edition episode of Astrology Roast. My name's Karen.
My name is Itai.
It sure is, and we are very inspired this evening. So it's a Saturday night, it's about 11:45 p.m. and we have just been to a really amazing, awesome, spiritual, artsy-fartsy, cool as hell, astrology-related dance party.
My God, it is Saturday night and I'm alive, baby.
Yeah, so Itai, do you want to tell people what we just went to and
where to begin? So where to begin, I guess, in a message that was sent to us by one of our Sagittarius friends and conductor, that
dramaturg,
just
doctor,
a woman of all
many hats,
of all hats,
a red-headed hat.
And she messaged us and she said, you gotta check this out. It's a party where they are splitting you into astrological signs. And I was like, I didn't click the link. I didn't read anything. I just wrote, let's go. And what's the date? Put it in my calendar. And we decided to go.
Yeah, she didn't come.
She didn't come.
But we went with a couple of other friends. So, I must admit it was 3 Aries and just me, the little Gemini.
Gemini, but an Aries ascendant.
I know, and I really wanted to be in the fire signs group. But I couldn't abandon my air signs, even though they were a bit miserable.
Let's just describe what happened there. And then just
bit by bit.
Because what happened was just so cool and crazy. And I feel like I was a part of an indie series. Like I was an episode.
Like an episode of Girls.
Yeah, like an episode of Girls. You know, like how in life some moments feel like an episode of Girls.
Yeah.
So this was it. So we arrived there.
It's outdoors.
Outdoors. It's in the park. Right across the road from the NGV, from like the National Gallery of Victoria. And we get there and we're like a bit awkward. So we make a lot of jokes and we stretch. And then they split you into your elements. So Aries, Sagittarius and Leo, fire signs. Then you have the earth signs, the air and the water. And they all go with 2 leaders. And they separate and they start their
exorcism, I guess. They're calling it exercise through exorcism or something like that. And I do feel like I released a couple of inner demons.
And I was there as a person, but also as a servant of the listeners of this podcast. So I was obviously in it, but also looking around and trying to understand what everyone else is doing. And you could already see that the elements are already there from the get-go, from the stretching. So the fire signs were the only signs that were like standing up. The warm-up was just like jumping up and down.
Yeah, they were thrusting their hips and like air humping the whole time.
Yeah, like that was our warm-up. We were like, move your hips, move your thing, down, slut drop, up, down. And you could see like the Cancerians, like the water signs just like talking to each other, the air sign talking to each other, the earth were like, they started physically like lying on the ground. And then as appropriate to the fire signs, while everyone was still stretching, fire signs was already like running around inside, being annoying, just like running in between people, pushing them.
I was so jealous of the fire signs group. I wanted to be in that group so bad.
So what was happening for you in the air signs?
Look, and I love the air signs. I'm part of it, but yeah. So ours was very different. There was no hip thrusting. Our leaders started off by explaining that air signs are amazing communicators and also really impacted by Mercury retrograde. She said that like, basically, there might be some touching in this dance class exorcism event, but because we're such great communicators, we should just use our words if we don't feel comfortable. She also said that none of us are really in our bodies naturally, so we need to start actually getting in our bodies before we can participate in the dance. So we needed to start whacking the floor and screaming and doing a lot of breathing exercises. And I might actually mention as well that the people that organise this event are from, I think, Chunky Move Dance Company. So imagine a group of dancers, like beautiful, ethereal, hip dancers and then us.
They were so cool.
Beautiful haircuts and piercings and doing pliés and warm-ups. Like, it was like center stage, but hipster center stage. And then there was just us. I think there was one family that was there that didn't know what was going on.
They were totally filming us on their phones. But it's also funny because even the way your leader approached the whole like touching thing, the Aries leader on my group was just like, guys, we're going to touch people. That's fine, yeah? And like no one even had a chance to say yes or no. He was just like, yeah, whatever, great, like great. And then, so we all did a warm-up. The fire signs started to run around everyone. And then every group was led into a dance that was inspired by the element.
Beautiful.
And it wasn't planned. It was all organic, and it was all kind of like the energy of the people. And it was just amazing to see how every element danced appropriately to their energy. The fire signs, I know I talk a lot about the fire signs, but I also really felt proud to be in my group. And we were just like,
they're having the best fun.
So much fun. And it's like shaking your ass. Half of the dances were like dropping to the floor. Every time there was one sign that was just like calm down, the fire signs would just come and like twerk their asses into their faces.
My goodness.
And you could see the earth signs were like hugging the trees, and the water signs were like chanting, I'm okay, I'm okay.
For me, that was the most terrifying part of the whole experience, was being in the middle of the dance, surrounded by all the water signs who were screaming, I'm sensitive, I'm sensitive, I'm sensitive, in unison. And I was like, you are sensitive, you are sensitive. It was
oh my God,
very overwhelming. There was also, so obviously the air signs were much more cognitive and everything was intellectualized and rationalized, although some beautiful dancers, I might say. There was one stage when our facilitator was screaming, how do we get through? How do we get through? We can't push through. We can't push through. And then she goes, hang on a second. We'll just use our minds. Let's just go over there. And then we were like, yeah. And so we just went to the tree.
Oh
it was very explained and thorough and in the brain. But we did get to earth and fire it up as well.
Yeah, and there was a lot of interaction between the signs. Even though I felt like the fire signs were always just like, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me.
They were rogue. They were just doing whatever they wanted. And also, can we talk about how quick young dancers can run in circles?
Oh, they were running.
There was so much running, and it's been a while since I've really run. And not only were they running really fast, but they were doing the plie, the little ballet hops I'm sure that's the wrong word because I'm not a dancer, surprise, surprise. But they were doing little frilly frolics in the air, and I was like, okay, like I want to express myself. I'm not as fit as the young, beautiful people, so sometimes I'd skip moves or take a breather. But it was so energetic and so invigorating.
What else? What was?
Oh, so much. Well, I also want to give a shout out to Jennifer Loveless, who is the DJ. So this like beautiful DJ sitting with her long dark hair, wearing all black. Like I feel like she was the embodiment of all the signs together at the end of ages, sitting there just looking down and just piecing together these ethereal glitchy beats that just made everything so seamless and so beautiful and brought all that crazy energy from all the different star signs together.
Yeah, it was just really the elements working together. There was one part where the fire signs were literally chasing the water signs as they are screaming in fear.
The water sign, I couldn't.
It was my favorite part when like one sign would do this like really spiritual experience. Like you could see the Cancerians like comforting each other, and then the fire signs would come and just like be like, this is my butt, this is my ass, look, this is my butt. And they would just like scream and run away. I just loved it. There was one part where also it was just so sexual, and you were all like
I think that was the fire sign.
It was, but also the earth
energy.
signs. The earth signs were trying to be sexual as well, because you know how they have this like nurturing Mother Earth giving birth. They were doing a lot of birth scenes, but the difference was that they were walking around chanting, I am sexual, I am sexual. And like we never said that. We were just like air humping, like dry humping everyone. Yeah, that was, and then the end when everyone came together.
So beautiful. We all were kind of holding hands, and then it became full arts vibe.
Yeah, that was very artsy.
There was jelly, there was
Custard.
there was fire, there was all of us holding hands and moving in a seamless symmetry with the elements. It was also a completely overcast day. We were outdoors and I was just feeling like all of our breathing and chanting and whacking of the floor was going to open up heaven on earth and we were going to be drenched with rain in this amazing climax. It didn't happen.
It was, yeah. And then, so they basically, I think, listen, I'm not a big art guy, yeah, but I think...
Oh, don't sell yourself short.
I think what they meant was they kind of like mixed in all the elements. They made jelly, red jelly and blue jelly and yellow jelly.
And they wore monkey masks.
And then they kind of mixed all the jelly and then they jelly wrestled into love. And then after that, it was just became like a big party. And there was a few drunk people that came along and were harassing some people. But overall,
2 thumbs up, I would say, as Margaret and
4
David
thumbs up.
say.
As a Gemini, you have more than 2 thumbs. So I would say 4.
10 fingers up.
Also, a funny thing that happened in the fire signs was at the end, I don't know if they did that with you, but the leader was like, okay, who's going to lead us? And we did like, everyone led for a few seconds. And he was like, who's going to lead us first? And you could see all the fire signs like waiting to be called. And I was like, and then he looked at me and he was like, you! And I was like, me? And I just like, it took me less than 1 second to just start doing it. And I felt like all the fire signs were just like waiting to do it. And I really felt how competitive we get. Like when they were leading, I was like, I also want to lead. I also want to do it. I also want to explain. I also want to... So, yeah, I feel the elements really came to life.
Yeah, it made me see in a visual sense, seeing all the elements divided into 4, how we all need each other. Like, earth needs wind, needs water, needs fire. Like, we cannot exist without the other. And sometimes it takes jelly being smushed into a naked body of a chunky move dancer wearing a monkey mask for you to realize what you need. And I mean, I don't know if you felt this, Itai, but I felt it was an exorcism that I did. Like at one stage we had to, it was a bit, reminded me a bit of a Jewish burial ritual, but we had to pretend like we were digging the earth with spades and then putting all of our energy into the earth or anything we wanted to shed. And I think with Deep Soulful Sweats, which is the name of this dance event, they usually try and time these events around the new moon, around Mercury retrograde. So, you know, as someone that loves astrology and is connected to all of these planetary movements, I felt really connected to using the body to explore that and watching others do that. A lot of people who probably don't know much about astrology or care about it, but it was really, I shed.
Oh my God, shed so much. And I feel we often...
Weight as well.
It
was good exercise.
Good workout.
Yeah.
We often do these ceremonies like, you know, we write our new moon intentions or whatever you do. But there was something about the end of Mercury retrograde, the new moon, coming together, dancing, and just expressing yourself that, you know, as Brittany says, sometimes you just need to move a certain way to feel something. And sometimes it's not about talking, and sometimes it's not about writing or explaining. It's about moving your body in a certain way that really releases what you want to release.
I mean, are you from a family that connects with the body quite quickly? Or
Not at all. Not at all.
I mean, that's a loaded question because I know, our family, we're heads that happen to be on bodies.
Just heads.
Yeah.
Floating heads. There's no
heads.
touch.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
No touch.
And I felt well. I felt great rolling around the floor, hugging people that I never met. And it reminded me also the scene from Slave for You, and they're all like, touching each other. And I was like, yeah, this is fire. This is what it means to be a fire sign. And I looked over and yes, sometimes I looked over to the water signs and to the earth signs, and I was like, I wouldn't want to be there. But sometimes I looked over and I was like, it's cool to flow like this. It's cool to the air signs. You guys were... So there was so much space for you guys, and there was so much movement, and the water, so much love and empathy. You could actually see and feel that, and with the earth as well, like this grounded energy. And just to be able to be in the same space and do that, in the end, when everyone danced together, and a Taurus person that was with us, he turned to me and he said, do you feel like you're dancing according to your element? And I was like, yeah, I actually feel like a fire. And people around me were as well. I could see that the dance was affected by it. And we all ended in lying on the ground